New Trend Society, the BDX Marketing Podcast with Benjamin Dietering.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Venice Beach. Welcome to Paulaner Sunset. How are you guys doing tonight? Nice. Yeah, welcome to the next New Trend Society event here. We want to talk about marketing, about content creation. And so we brought out LA's finest. And I'm happy to have the first one on stage. We have Venice's very own Kade Speiser. He's a content creator. He is an agency owner and a great guy. Please come up on stage. What's up, buddy? Good to see you.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Here we go. Thank you so much for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Let's bring up the next one. We have one of my favorite DJs here in Los Angeles. The other one is playing tonight. That's Katja Cage. Shout out to Katja. And we have DJ Leisan out here. Please come up on stage. Good to see you. There you go.
Do you have any specific place where to sit?
You can choose.
Wherever you want. Want to share the couch?
Yes.
Okay, let's go. Nice. Gotta take it cozy out here. All right, and the last one on the panel is a great photographer. I always introduce him like, the kind of photos you look up when you create your own mood board and think of Pinterest stuff or Instagram stuff. Like, okay, I'm gonna save that. That's nice. How did they do that? How did he do that? And so he's one of these guys. He's also one of the photographers who does all the campaigns for Paulaner Sunset. So please give him a hand, Tim Kasper. It's all part of the show. Amazing. You can choose. We have here, everything.
I'll start here.
Nice. How you guys doing?
Great. Couldn't be better.
Yes, thank you for having us.
It's amazing.
And thank you, Paulaner Sunset, for this beautiful space.
Yay. Let's start with a little bit of introduction of who is who. As maybe not everyone is familiar with you. Probably everybody heard about Kade. He's the most famous of all of us. Just kidding. But let's start with you, Tim. How did you start out? Can you talk a little bit about yourself, about your path out here to Los Angeles?
Yes.
And is that actually true what I said about your photos?
Yes, I think it's true. Maybe let me start a few years back. So I studied marketing and advertising in Boston. After I got my degree, I moved back to Europe because I was kind of done with the US. I was especially done with the East Coast and with the bad weather. But then in Amsterdam, it was much sunnier. I finished my degree and then I was a freelancer. I decided, okay, I don't want to go corporate. I want to do something I like, especially if you have to spend like 8 hours a day or even more in the beginning. It has to be something I enjoy doing. Otherwise, I cannot drag myself into an office or some activity I don't enjoy. So I started, but starting as a freelancer with no formal education, you don't have any clients, but you also don't have any skill, which makes it a little bit more difficult. Like, hey, I'm a photographer, but I'm not a great photographer, and I don't have any clients. So my friend from college, he called me, said, hey, Tim, I bought a house in LA I don't know who's familiar with Boyle Heights. You guys know that? So that was like 5 years ago, and it's very developing. It was an investment, he said, but it was, it's not the best neighborhood. But I enjoyed it. So he said, I bought a house, you're welcome to come anytime. I said, okay, I don't have a real job right now, so I can come next week. I bought a plane ticket to LA. I went to Boyle Heights with a 90-day ESTA stay. So you get the ESTA, not just technically, you're just not allowed to work. I had about, $600-700 euros in my bank account and this place to stay in Boyle Heights. And that's where kind of the whole journey began. I didn't have enough money for a car, mostly not enough money for an Uber. So I found a super nice road bike on Craigslist, $150. I had to go even further to South LA, pick it up. Okay, and now I had a means of transportation. And what I like about LA, so I started, I know my friend Will with this house in Boyle Heights. And besides that, I didn't really know anyone in the West Coast. And I thought, okay, what do I need to do? I need to practice my skill, but I also need to start my network. And I just went on Instagram And I think I did a little project with a friend, and he posted a photo I took. So I went on his profile and on this photo, and I looked at all the people that liked the photo. Everyone with a blue check. Back now, I think you can pay for it. Back then, it was like pretty prestigious. If you have a blue check, you have a blue check? There you go.
An original one.
Original, OG blue check. If you had a blue check, you too?
I paid.
Okay. Fair enough. So if you had a blue check, you did something right, okay? So I did it. I'm also German. So I opened an Excel sheet on my second screen, and I wrote all the profiles of the people with the blue check. And then it was maybe, 20, 30 people. I sent each of them a message. I said, hey, I saw you like this work. What about we create something together? I kind of worked my way up. I did this, and I was like, okay, if I get this first layer of people, and then I get all the blue checks of the people that like this content, I can dominate the world. I can get all the blue checks. I can work with all the celebrities. Because especially if you're just starting out, and I say, hey, Nike, I want to work with you, they're like, no. But if I say, hey, Benji, do you need a cool photo? Maybe I get a yes, right? So the smallest business is just people that need content for their social media, content for anything. Yeah, and cut me off if this goes too long, because I started in 2019.
That's good. I think I could listen all night.
Okay, perfect. So I did my first layer of blue checks and did a couple photo shoots, and then I met this guy, and we also did a photo shoot. And then I watch my Instagram stories, and I say, hey, he's at a party with Paris Hilton. They're like hugging, they're partying. I'm like, okay, like they're pretty good friends. So I say, hey, you're friends with Paris Hilton? He's like, yeah, man, that's my girl. I said, I really want to shoot with her. He said, okay, give me your email. Give him my email, nothing happens. 10 days later, I get an email from her manager. Hey, like, we look at your stuff, we would love to do something. And back then, I thought, okay, my photos are not necessarily the greatest. My videos also not. Videos even harder. You need a whole production team. But I bought this green screen on Amazon for like $30. And I had my friends have like a flower business. And through that business, I could get a verified channel on Jiffy.com. You could film people in front of the green screen, remove the green screen in this editing software, and then through that channel actually have these little Jiffies pop up on Instagram. And it was like 2019 was pretty new. Only like some celebrities had it, some brands had it, but no one else. So people were going crazy for these Jiffies. And it wasn't too difficult to do. I would do it in my West Hollywood apartment. I also need to look at you guys. I would do it in my West Hollywood apartment. It was really a very like wacky setup. I had everything was cheap. The background was cheap, the lights were cheap, my camera was shit, and people had to come. So celebrities would come to this place, and they're like, okay, am I safe? But I didn't care.
They're used to sketchy places here in LA.
Right? But in LA, I think it's always a lot about like showing off, right? Like people, if they have no money, they still want to drive a nice car, dress nice, but then with the German background, we're kind of like true to ourselves. We don't care so much, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe a German in LA sees it differently. But, so I had this like humble German approach that I don't care about all of this flashiness. I'm just here to have fun, most importantly, and to do my work. So long story short, we did the Jiffies. I was invited to go to Paris's house, which, by the way, I thought security guards and a long driveway. No, they texted me the address. I rolled up. The front door was unlocked. I just walked in. I'm like, hello? Oh, yeah, just set up. Paris is going to be with you in... Took 2 hours for her to come down the stairs, like if you watch these high school movies when the date comes down the stairs. It was a little bit like this. And then we shot the Jiffies. She was super happy. And from there, it was like a really nice kickstart. People back in Europe, they were saying, wow, you've been here for 2 months. You've been working with A-list celebrities. And that opened a lot of doors, not just in LA, but especially back home. Because you know how it is in Germany. We always look with big eyes towards the United States, especially Los Angeles. And that was, I think the whole long story is just a metaphor for that in LA, they always say, the United States, the land of, of opportunities. Is there something more to it? Or just
the land of the free?
The land of the free, and I don't know. Anyways, there's a lot of opportunities here, and I think that showed it, especially if you don't care too much, like coming from Germany, who you are, how other people see you, you're just going to do your thing, and people actually really enjoyed that. Like another short story, and then I please let you guys talk. I had a job to take photos of this guy's house, he wanted to sell it, I was super broke. I couldn't afford an Uber there, so I cycled there from Boyle Heights to Beverly Hills, up in the hills, 2 hours. And then I get there, and he looks at me and says, "Where's your car?" I said, "Oh, I came with the bike." He said, "From where?" I said, "From Boyle Heights." He said, "I don't care what you do. I want you to work for me full time because I like that attitude." And yeah, I think that's a good.
That's a pretty good start.
It's a pretty good start.
Biking after this story every day, just in case.
That's good. Let's go up next. Kate, can you talk a little bit about yourself? I always think of your when I see your content, it's very well curated, right? I see the stuff you do, and you're having a good life, I think, or at least it looks like that. But please explain a little bit of your background, how you started out, and what you're doing right now.
Yeah, for sure. I'll start by saying I biked here tonight, so whatever that counts for. No, but I
just because you live down the street,
right?
Because
I live a few blocks away. It wasn't from Boyle Heights. But yeah, I grew up in Michigan, smallish city there. There wasn't a lot going on in that city, and I knew I wanted to be rich, and I knew I couldn't do it in Michigan, and so it was like New York or LA, and obviously landed in LA. A few of my friends were on the same idea as me, and we threw all our stuff in my car and drove to Los Angeles. We knew like one person, and they lived in Venice. They're like, "You got to live in Venice because it's the coolest spot," and we didn't know any different, and so we went apartment shopping in Venice and chose the apartment based on the only one that accepted us the same day so that we could sleep on the floor that night with some blankets and a pillow, and kind of just started to build from there. I didn't really have any real skill sets. Dropped out of college because I was paying for it. Didn't see the worthy investment. Wasn't exactly a star student.
But did you do like content, photo, video stuff before? Like
zero.
Just nothing. Okay.
I stuck a GoPro to my head when I snowboarded. Like that was the extent of my content knowledge at that time, which was like nothing. Thought it was cool. Like my little brother did it, but he was still little, so he wasn't like doing it for a career, but didn't know much about it and didn't really think about it. And then realized, like I needed to try to figure out a skill set. And my buddy who graduated Michigan State with a film degree would come stay with us. A lot of people from Michigan would come stay with us because we were like pioneers. That we moved to LA, it was like a huge deal. So all of our friends would come stay with us.
When was that?
This is like I'm bad with timelines, like 10 years ago now.
Okay. Wow.
Ish. 9 years ago. And he kind of like sparked it. He was like, "Hey, can you help me on a shoot?" And I think I was just like making sure a camera on a tripod was still recording. Like I didn't even touch anything. But I thought
Would you call yourself DOP then?
Yeah. My resume started. No, I was like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." Like literally did nothing. I was like, "That's kind of cool." And he asked me for help on a couple other things because I like wasn't charging him whatever. Then like the second shoot, I was like holding a camera and they're like, "Oh, this is cool." And then he was like, "You should try to edit, like download this thing called Premiere." And I did, and I like just threw a bunch of iPhone footage I had over the course of like whatever last few years of my life and edited it. And he told me it was good, which for me was like all the validation I needed to go like all in on this. I realized it was a possible skill set I could have, and so kind of didn't look back from that point. Oversold myself, told people I could do their music video, told people I could like, yeah, whatever you need, I got you, but I didn't have a camera. I still was really bad, but I was just saying yes to everything. Like, "Oh yeah, I got you. Like you need a music video, whatever you need, I got you." And so kind of started to get like decent at filming through that, but was still just doing stuff for free because I needed the experience and honestly was not good enough to charge. That kind of like fast forward led me to linking up with some early influencers in like the LA space, some Vine kids, who, Vine had just collapsed and everyone was looking for a new platform. Where do we post? What do we do? But they had all moved to LA at this point. So I kind of got intertwined in that community and, again, started to help these guys for free, which was dumb because I was so broke.
How did you pay your rent?
A credit card, my grandparents, and then like some odds and ends shit jobs at random restaurants that I would quit after, a few weeks or something because I hated being looked down upon because I didn't know how their point of sale terminals worked. Like they looked at me like I was stupid because I couldn't put the nachos in or whatever. So just totally odds and ends shit. 4 people in a 2-bedroom apartment. So rent was relatively cheap right up the street here. But yeah, anyway, I remember kind of like your story. I had an interview that I didn't know was an interview. Someone who I linked arms with pretty early was Jake Paul. And he was like, hey, I need this video edited, but I need it by tomorrow. And it was like 9 p.m. He's like, I want to post at 8 a.m. It was like a huge video, like ton of editing. And so we pulled an all-nighter editing. He got espresso shots from the gas station or whatever at midnight. And we did it, didn't charge him. Video was sweet. He loved it. And he was like, that was actually your interview. I want to hire you. He had just started a content, I guess I don't really know, like talent incubation agency, which was called Team 10. So this was, I think, too far ahead of its time. But the idea was like he uses his platform to bring you in, give you the limelight, and then you get famous through being a part of his ecosystem, and then he takes a percentage of your, career there forward, which no one had really done that, but he'd raised money from some reputable people, Gary Vaynerchuk, and some big name investors. He just raised $1 million. It was a real company. Jake's 18, I'm like 19 or 20 at the time, and totally garage startup. But that was like a great place to be because we really pioneered a lot of things in the social media space, really changed the game on YouTube, started to do vlogs. Everything went crazy viral. We were getting more views than Game of Thrones at the time by like 5 times. We were posting a video every day. Each video was getting 3 million views on a minimum every single day, 7 days a week, rain, shine, hungover, sick, didn't matter. And I was the guy shooting, editing, and posting. So I was like the dude. But because I was an employee, I was there every day. So it was like when all the kids or friends didn't want to show up, I was still there. So if it was just Jake and I, the camera would get flipped on me. And now I was like in the videos. So I started to accidentally kind of become a part of it. And at the peak, my Instagram was growing like 25,000 followers a day, every day for a long time. And it was crazy. Yeah, it was a crazy time. And that was like my kickstart. And Jake was like, hey, you're like too famous to be my videographer. You should like be one of the talent people, and I'll just go hire some other videographer to do my videos because you should be an influencer. And I was like, oh yeah, like I should be an influencer. And so it was never part of the plan. It was never like, I never wanted to be famous or have any type of platform necessarily. It just was like a byproduct of what I was doing, and that story is condensed. That happened over the course of a couple years, but then launched my own platform, worked with a lot of brands, for a lot of brands, worked as the brand, did a lot of stuff, decided that I was kind of burnt out on being the guy in front of the camera. And then I leveraged my resume to get a job at Universal Music, where I ran a content strategy and innovation team there. We worked with massive artists, Bieber, Taylor Swift, Elton John, legacy profiles like ABBA, Queen. We were doing their whole digital presence. So legitimized my no college experience self through that job a little bit, and then realized that corporate America was a pretty bad spot to be, and left those people and have since started my own agency, if you will, where I now help people who don't know how to make social media do social media full time. I make a lot of uncool people cool. Thankfully, none of my clients are in the room right now, so I can say that. But yeah, that's the whole premise, And so I guess we're here now, back in Venice.
That's an inspiring story, and I love there's a lot of people here in the audience who maybe just moved here or here trying to make it in LA. Everybody wants to make it. Everybody wants to crush it, and listening to these stories, I don't want to interrupt like any of you guys. So this will be a long night with a lot of cool stories. But this is basically what me inspires to get up every day and work on stuff and create something, because I think LA is a place where it's possible and where your life can change from one day to another, but it doesn't change by accident or so. It changed from hard work. And probably there was that one day where Jake said like, hey, you should also be in front of the camera or so. But like all the 50, 100 unpaid jobs or everything else before, that was what actually was the work, like the front loading, right?
Totally, yeah, 100%.
Nice.
I would add that you said that we don't need like accident or luckiness, but I think in LA it should work like both. You're hardworking, and also sometimes you can be accidentally at some place and some like magic happen, but it should be both.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Leisan, I would love to...
That's how my life happened.
I would love to hear your story. I just remember when one of the best events I've ever been in Los Angeles was actually your birthday party this year. I met a lot of cool people, and a couple of people I'm doing business with right now. Tasha and Chris, who are the models of our campaigns here. Chris put me in touch with a Technic company here. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and it's just like showing up and going to events and all that. But we'd love to learn a little bit more about you, about the rising star in Los Angeles DJ scene.
Honestly, I don't know why you invited me because I don't have like a million views, and I really, guys, admire like your work, and I think I would like check your profiles and work after like this event because I'm really interested. I'm from Russia, and I'm an immigrant, and I live here almost 6 years. And back in the days, I'm a TV producer. I work in the channel First. It's like CNN in America, and with the reality show, we did like some political show and stuff. And one day, accidentally, kind of, I moved to LA, and I realized that it was.
I think it was our mutual friend Sophia.
Yeah,
she told you
to
move to LA after you broke up with someone, right?
As always, yeah. Something happened, and I had a call, and I'm always like easygoing person. If someone like suggest me to do something or some project or to move anywhere, I'm like, okay, let's do that. Why not? Like, we have just only one life, and we have to try it. And yeah, we had a conversation with her, and she's like, hey, let's move to America. I'm like, no way. I have like a project in Moscow. I cannot move. Like, it's crazy. But in 1 month, I did it. I just borrowed money from my younger brother to buy a ticket to America. So we moved. You said that you live 4 people in 2-bedroom apartment. It was 5 people in 1-bedroom apartment because we have like 15 grand each.
Stories get crazy, huh?
Worse than worse.
I biked 5 hours to a client shoot.
I even didn't have a bike. I walked by myself. And I moved, and the first maybe 2 years, I just did some like different immigrant jobs. Some of them I can't say, I don't know, like officially because it's like illegal. Nothing bad, just to get money. And some like legal things like cleaning the houses or waiters and stuff like that. And after that, I realized that I have to realize myself as an artist because I still don't have any American education. My language is not, English is not my native language. And I realized that I cannot be a producer. I don't have any connection. I have no one here, no parents, nothing. And I'm like, okay, I have to figure out who I can be. And music always was the part of my life. I was like drumming, playing piano, singing, but it was always as a hobby. And in LA, here is a lot of like parties and stuff. And I just went to some of the party and bought the like $300 like controller and start playing the music. And I started doing it as a hobby, and for like 2 or 3 years, I never considered myself as a DJ. I'm always like, yeah, I'm playing the music, ha ha ha, la la la. I'm not serious because I think inside of myself, I was scared to take responsibility that I'm like on something serious. And when I start get like really good gigs, really good like events, I realized this is my job right now, and this is my main job, and I get like good paid for that. And I start considering myself as a musician and just doing it. And yeah, I don't know.
Great. That's great, yeah. Thanks for being here tonight, and also to all of you guys in the audience. I know you guys have a choice. There's so much going on in LA. There's so many events out there, and that you're actually attending ours. That makes me very, very happy. So we want to do our best to give you guys a lot of value out here tonight. Kate, we want to talk tonight about content and relevancy of content and also how that changed. I mean, in the early days when you started editing with these daily vlogs and all that, it was kind of like long form content, right? It was like 6 to 10, maybe 15 minutes sometimes or so.
Yeah.
What is your opinion when you look on the content scene right now? There's super short form on TikTok. There's Reels which are a little bit more aesthetic content. There's YouTube Shorts. There's Snapchat. There's so many different platforms, and also there's of course like short form versus long form, like YouTube videos that are like 30 minutes, 50 minutes, 2 hours. I watched a YouTube video of a guy who climbed through the woods for 2.5 hours non-stop, but it was just great watching it and kind of like meditational. So what is your observation with such a long series of expertise in content?
Yeah, it's interesting. When I first started, they were filming skits. It was like SNL, like comedy, because that's what they knew on Vine. And then, I moved to, which was relatively short-ish form, like 60 seconds. And then YouTube was, 10 minutes was like a next monetization mark. So 10 to, toward the end, it started to be like 20-minute videos, which we had like high viewership retention on a 20-minute video, which seems crazy to think about now. But yeah, content is always changing. I think right now, the story is the most important. I think like what you're seeing is that the camera doesn't matter, what you look like doesn't matter, where you live doesn't matter, your socioeconomic standard doesn't matter. It really matters what the substance of the video, and that's almost regardless of the format. That I think that's true. With that being said, of course, we're in the short form content like era right now, but I think where I see it trending is that people will do the long form and there will be short form cut downs of the long form, which is just iterating the same story, but in probably a shorter manner. So I think we're moving back into people really want to tune into something longer term. Like we're seeing this, I think companies are ushering this in of look at our founder. And instead of doing that on TikTok, which they still are, they're now starting to shift to look at our founder, but in a 15-minute YouTube video, day in the life, or a month in the life, and that might be a longer piece. And then from that, they'll make Reels, TikToks, Shorts. But that's kind of how I see the funnel. And if you really think about it, it's kind of always been that way of creating one big video, and you can create how many assets from a larger piece of content like that. It's incredibly hard to do, though. Just don't get me wrong. So it's not like, it's easy to just, hey, let's just go do this tomorrow, because you need a videographer to follow you around, or that's you, which is equally as hard, I would say, or financially is hard. And then it's a lot of editing. You edit one big video, and then you can take 10 videos out of one video, but that's 10 times editing, right? So it's not to say this is what we need to do and it's that easy, but I see it more though as like story will always be the winner, regardless of how bad quality your camera is, or
like what makes a good story in general. I mean, in short form, there's a hook, there's then the whole storytelling and all that. But in general, is there, let's say for a 15-minute, 20-minute YouTube video, what makes a good story?
Well, like the played out answer that no one wants to hear is like authenticity, right? And unfortunately, that's like the most boring answer, but it's the truth. Like when we made YouTube videos, we'd fake everything. We didn't swear because we knew we could get brand money, right? We worked with Kellogg's and Hershey's and we didn't swear. And then we turned the cameras off and just be vulgar human beings. But that can't really happen much anymore because there is, the people that are growing up with iPhones, the bullshit filter is very good. So there's really an inability to fake content now. So the boring answer is just being authentic. I think TikTok has ushered in the era of crying in front of camera and sitting there telling a super long story, even a not interesting one, but being a good storyteller, right? Like, no offense to the makeup tutorials, but like a lot of that is that, right? They're doing a long makeup routine. The story in and of itself is not super maybe interesting, but they're pretty good at telling it. It's kind of engaging. And you just end up watching like a 2-minute video and you're like, I didn't get really anything from this, but I watched it from start to finish because it happened to them in real life. They were super passionate about someone cutting them off in traffic, and like that all happens to us, but like they just told it in a pretty engaging way. And then you have the flip side of the coin of like creators, right? Using elements of like editing, right? Video footage, B-roll, and then I was here, and then they show footage of it, and then this happened, and they show a screenshot of an app. So there's a million ways to tell a story for sure, but I think people can resonate with something they feel like is a real story. I think that it's the hardest it's ever been to be fake online right now, specifically in video content.
What do you guys think about that?
Me? Okay. I think in terms of content, it's a pretty, well, in quotes, challenging time because all the content is mixed these days. So for instance, let's say 20 years ago, you open your newspaper, you get news. That's it. Maybe there's a little comedy section, little cartoon or something, but primarily it's just news. If you watch TV, you watch a movie, you have your 10-minute ad block and you really know what you're getting. Now, if you get your phone out, you open your Instagram Explore page, there's anything and everything. You have news, you have little news pieces, people download sports highlights, post that to Instagram. You have pretty women, pretty men, you have cat videos, a cat falling off a fridge, whatever. So especially as a brand, so I earn my money with brands paying me to shoot content for them or direct content shoots. And we are suddenly competing not against other brand content, but any content in the world, from sports to people to animals. And I think that's like a unique challenge these days. How do you stand out? Because how can I, let's say we were actually shooting for Sunset on Saturday. Now we're suddenly competing against a super yacht of 100 million crashing on the beach, because it's all on the same platform. And I think I don't have the answer to that, but it's a unique challenge. How do you, as a brand, position yourself, and how do you create something that's not just entertaining, but it's also relevant and kind of shows your brand and gives some kind of value? And again, I don't have the answer. I think it's like an open question. How do you do that as a brand, but also as a creator? Because there's not just creators, there's news sources, there's sports highlights, like you're competing against LeBron James dunking on someone, because it's all in the same space.
What I would like to say about the content, so I think I'm looking to the content a little bit through the different direction, as I can say like that, because I'm from the music industry, and I wouldn't say that we are like competitors, but we are more, how right to say, we have a music. This is like the main thing.
The main product, right?
Yeah, the product. And the social media is just a tool how we can deliver this art, this music to the people. And I agree with you about to stay authentic, right? Authenticity. Sorry for my English.
Authenticity.
Yeah. Thank you. And the right way how to find it for me, it's to be honest with your followers and stuff, because I know a lot of musicians who just like DJs, musicians who just posting the content, just how they're playing or just about the music. But when I'm looking to my Instagram as like a window to my apartment, to my house. So today I'm coloring my walls, like other day I'm crying, other day I'm like making music and stuff. And I mean, as much as you like ready to share your life, because I'm not sharing just when I'm playing the music. I'm also sharing how I'm like filming my podcast, how I'm, going through my breaking up and stuff like that, like a lot of things. And when the people are like building the connection with you, like to as an artist or stuff, it means a lot to the people, because I feel myself related not just because of the music to some musicians, just also because of like what he's reading or what the breakfast do he has or stuff. So I mean, to build these bridges between followers and yourself, it's very important, because it's not just about the beautiful like posts and videos, and also about these like connections that you just build. First of all, you have to be honest. I think so, because everyone is unique. You just have to be like, who are you?
That's totally true, and I feel that's also the hard part. Because I, for myself, I always want to be seen as the positive, ambitious, successful guy and all that. But there's, of course, the part in all of us that is struggling and that is sad and tired and mad and angry and all that. But I really admire about your content and especially your stories, that you're very honest about that.
But not like a lot. So I have my boundaries. So I'm not like showing all my dirty clothes from my wardrobe, but still like I have something that I'm allowed people to know about me, because that's what I want people see me also. You know?
Yeah, but still you are vulnerable, and I think that's very impressive to see, and I think I can also learn a little bit from that. And
what, for example?
Showing, I don't know, like a softer side of myself, or maybe stuff that goes wrong, right? And there's a lot of stuff going wrong all the time in each of our lives.
I can tell the short story. So I played the festival at Splash House, and it was one of the hottest day of the whole festival. It was 108 or 111, like pretty hot. And we were kind of a little bit like pretty close to start of my set. Me and all my team, like videographer, everyone started coming. And everything started going wrong. And at the end of everything, my set was stopped in 30 minutes because of it was overheated. All the speakers, all the power stations stopped working. All the cameras, iPhone, everything stopped working. And I was super upset that we didn't have enough footage to film my set. But when I start seeing footage after this festival, I saw that we capturing from the two different cameras how all the power were shut down. And I'm like, okay, I can create something how I failed. Not me, but the whole situation going in the wrong direction. And people really like it. And I'm like, okay, sometimes you can share in something that people didn't expect. Not just like how you like succeed, but sometimes how you fail, because we are all failed, and it's interesting as well.
You also mentioned you're doing your podcast, Supersonic Talks, and I haven't told you guys yet, but we're recording also this for my podcast for New Trend Society. So we are all live out here. I forgot to mention that at the beginning.
So
I didn't give you permission to do that.
if you haven't listened closely, you can tune in. It's always Wednesdays, new episodes, and we're talking about marketing with cool people from the industry here in LA, with founders and all that. So I would love to get your guys' intel on podcasts. What kind of podcasts do you think are relevant? How will the podcast niche or the game of podcast will evolve? And is there a world where are even more podcasts than now? I mean, there's a joke. What do you call three white guys? A podcast. So that's me saying that there is a lot of podcasts out there, but does the world need more podcasts, or is it actually too many? What would you say, and what's your opinion on that?
I think that's another layer of authenticity, right? Like, why do people like podcasts? Well, they like your music, they like your DJ sets, they've seen them, but what is she like behind the scenes? What does she think like? What is her opinions on topics that I also have opinions on? So the podcasts fall into the bucket of learning more about your favorite person, and that's exactly what they are. And that's why everyone is starting one, and they're actually doing well. Well, they're starting them because they're doing well, because people have a vested interest in this person. So if I like their photography, I like their music, I like them, well, I want to hear them talk in a longer format, because I've only heard them talk for 15 seconds or 60 seconds. Well, I'm really into them, so maybe I'd like to hear them talk for an hour or whatever. So this is another glimpse behind the curtain, which I think is really what social media is. We did a lot of this with artists at Universal Music. Is, I know you're cool and you're an artist and you're above everyone, but like, how much can you let people behind the curtain and fans eat it up? They're dying for that. And, we all have fans to some extent, whether it's 1 or 1 million. We all have fans. And so all those people want a bigger glimpse behind the curtain. And to me, that's all a podcast is just an additional look further behind the curtain into your life, your brain, the way you think, who you have on, your friends, whatever. And they get to hear more stories that you've never talked about. So to me, it's just another outlet for your fans to learn more about you, which is why people are having successful podcasts, because they already have a following and these people want to know more than they already know.
And it's also again about storytelling, right?
Same thing, right? It's the longest form to tell a story is that. So
nice.
I actually don't listen to any podcasts. I once did a long cycle trip, and I listened to 30 episodes, and then I stopped forever with podcasts. But I do agree.
Which one did you listen to?
The two German guys, Böhmermann and...
Okay. Yeah.
What's it called?
Yeah, Fest und Flauschig.
Yeah, I downloaded the old episodes and listened to everything for like a week straight. But I do think it's a great opportunity to go past the surface layer, what you see maybe on social media, the highly polished things. And it's, if you listen to a podcast for 2 hours, it's almost like sitting in the room, having a conversation. Because when you listen to someone, you're not always speaking. So listening to podcasts is almost like just sharing the same space.
I'm speaking but by myself, when I'm listening to something,
Yeah.
like, oh yeah.
Like you
just
agree,
like
right?
answering,
Yeah, exactly. Because you're almost thinking you're part of the conversation, right? So someone says something, you agree, you're like, yeah, that makes sense, So in that sense, I think it's a great media. I don't think the world needs more podcasts. I think it's very saturated right now. Like all of my friends started a podcast in the last couple of years. Yeah.
Leisan, you also have your own podcast, Supersonic Talks.
Yeah.
How does the podcast also elevate your career and your DJ business?
I wouldn't say that it's like elevate me as a DJ, because no one choose DJ because he has a podcast or he doesn't have. It's more about that. So I started podcast a little bit in a different way. I was just like trying to understand what the different way I can start, know more artists and how I can be useful for the music industry, except that I'm just playing music. And if you know that most of the people, they don't know how the DJ looks like, even they are talking or what they are saying, So I was trying to to do a research and see that there is not a lot of podcasts with the DJs, and I'm like, okay, I can try to start the podcast and invite the people, the DJs, and ask them the questions that I have, because I wouldn't say that I'm like a DJ with a big experience. So I have a lot of questions, how to build my career, how to play it like at the big festivals and stuff. So I had a few goals and I just started doing it because I was interested, and I really start to meet a lot of people, and it's just like one part of me. It doesn't mean that it changed me or elevate me in the music career, but just like, hey, I have this one also, like my podcast and my label, it's something also that you can be proud of, and maybe to bring some useful things to the world. Can I say like that?
Yeah, totally, totally.
And you said that it's a lot of podcasts right now, and maybe you don't have to create one more. But the same things people saying about the DJs, I swear, all 4 years when I doing it all the time, especially in the oh, you're also DJ, and sometimes you're like, yes, I'm also a DJ, but that makes you are who you are when you showing people that it's just more than just regular DJ. So maybe it will be 1 million podcast as a number, but maybe your podcast will be something special.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you provide additional value, if you do something unique, no matter what it is, I think it's always great. If you have 20 people that enjoy listening to you, I think that's justified that you're out there.
I mean, it's even if you just enjoy it. So most of the time I started the podcast because I want to talk to people that inspire me. And sometimes, and Leisan, you're one of them, so you've been already on the podcast. You guys should also be on the podcast in a single episode. Would love to hear more about that of you guys. So I started out because I wanted to talk to a couple of interesting founders and people in the marketing industry, and it's pretty tough to get an appointment with some of them. But if you tell them, hey, I have a podcast. I give you exposure. You can talk about yourself, your stories, and it will nurture your ego. Then some people are more down to that, and a nice. Oh yeah, it's only for the photos and the exposure. So that's definitely a great thing. And one side effect was the audience was growing, and we were able to host events like these. We did a couple ones in Germany, in Hamburg at OMR. with American Express just recently with New Trend Society. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and I'm very happy and grateful that we're able to do that. Let's come back to the content in general, and my question for you guys would be, if you had to choose one platform or one specific niche where you put all of your money into for the next 24 months, where would it be? I give you an example. It could be Instagram Reels or YouTube long form or YouTube vlog, or like something very particular where you think this is a piece I would love to give more time into myself, because either I love it, I believe it can be very successful, or it will outperform in comparison to all the other stuff that's out there in the whole content world. Tim, what do you think? What would you choose?
Putting me on a spot. I think, so an Instagram Reel or Instagram Story you can compare maybe to like a quick 20, 30-minute coffee date. And then the long form is like a weekend away with friends, you know? Like you probably don't forget that. So I think if you manage to build that successfully, it's much more valuable than these like quick glimpses of, you know, short form content. It's always changing. I think if I had to choose right now, I would maybe still go for the Reels, because I think in the short future, it probably has the biggest turnaround. But long term, I think if you manage to build, like I would always take 1 million on YouTube over 1 million on Instagram for sure. I think you would agree, right?
Yeah, I agree. I would say if you already have a platform and you have some type of substantial platform, I would say YouTube honestly would be the most valuable, with the caveat of like you should be doing cut downs and putting that on every other platform. So it's kind of not a straight answer. But I would say if you have no followers, TikTok/Reels, a little more leaning TikTok is probably your best bet to discover new audience. Still with keeping in the back of your mind that Instagram wants to be TikTok really badly. So you should be posting that on Reels and TikTok simultaneously. TikTok's a little more specific in the style of content, but Reels is trending to be more and more the same as TikTok. But yeah, 0 followers, I'd say short form, TikTok Reel, TikTok/Reels. And then if you already have a platform, I think, yeah, YouTube constitutes the most loyal following. I think it's the top cup on the champagne tower. When that overflows, it flows into everything. And that is not true with every platform. I would say YouTube's the hardest to build, but the most worth it in terms of you get people that really care about you. You know, TikTok, they care about you for 8 seconds, 6 seconds, 10 seconds. YouTube, they care about you probably at least 60 to like 5 minutes, right? And so they get to know you. They'll buy your t-shirts. They'll, you know, buy your stickers or your drink or whatever you end up selling them, or your brand deal will convert better because they probably feel like they are closer to you as a human versus, you know, you're just 2 seconds of their day on TikTok, or you're a bigger part of their day on a platform like YouTube. So
I think if you take a 20-minute YouTube video and you chop it down in like 10, 15-second little reels, that's like someone watching 1,000 of your reels, you know, and it's normal that the impact is much bigger.
What do you think, Lisa?
In my way, my strongest social media is just Instagram, but I have also YouTube for my podcast and for myself where I'm posting my DJ sets and stuff. But unfortunately, I didn't find the way how to grow up my YouTube platform. So that's why the Instagram is like my main platform for now. So if you ask me where I would like invest all my money, it will be the Instagram, because as I want to like repeat that, my social media is just like the tool of what I'm doing. And I wish to invest money to my music than to the social media by itself. But I'm trying to use, I'm very bad in TikTok as well. I know there is a really good platform, but sometimes it's, I don't know, it's like really hard to be like good in TikTok, Snapchat, YouTube Shorts, YouTube Long, do podcast, this, and you just like sometimes like, oh, I'm not gonna like do that. It's like a lot. But for me, it's an Instagram. For an artist, it's an Instagram, I would say.
I want to throw in one more platform we haven't talked about the whole night, and that's actually a newsletter. I think that's really coming back, and I'm started reading a lot of newsletters recently. some really good tech insights, some insights for marketing, some just personal stories. And I started putting out mine like a year ago. Actually, discovery on newsletter is not that easy, like getting new followers in. But the people who are reading it, and especially if you want to build a business around that, if you already have a couple of clients, a couple of fans or so, and you can bring them into your newsletter, people check their emails and they want to know what's going to happen there. And you don't have that much competition. If it's, people subscribe to a lot of pages, like some brands or whatever, but they are declared as advertisements or spam or whatever, stuff like that already. But if people start reading your newsletter, you will always be on top of that. And especially if you're in the they subscribe with their business email, they're gonna read it because they're at work and they're bored. So we have like 60-70% opening rates, which is pretty good. The list is now like 1,000 people or so it's not that big right now, but we're getting there. And if you haven't had a look into that, check it out. I can highly encourage you to do that. So one insight and one thing we're gonna try right now, because I had a strategy meeting with my team, with Demi and Kade. By the way, quick shout out to Kade and Demi, who organized the whole event out here tonight. I hope they're still there. Yeah. Woo! We had a strategy meeting, and I asked one question. I said, like, okay, what are we gonna do for 2025 to grow New Trend Society and BDX and the personal brand and all that? And the question was, if we had $1 million cash in the bank, what would we do different? And then we brainstormed, and a lot of stuff came up. And one of them was like, okay, grow the newsletter, do more events and all that. But most of the time, you don't need that much money for it. Maybe you need a couple $1,000 or a couple $100 or so for that, but you just can scale down. And for me, this question was so helpful to just break my thinking borders, if that translates, or like the way of how I narrow down my ideas or my way of doing stuff. So maybe that's also helpful for you guys. We're already in a while now with the pod, and I would love to come closely to an end. We have the whole night to talk about more dedicated topics afterwards. There's drinks from Paulaner, there's great music fun, DJ Kade, and I'm happy to have a lot of more conversations. But in the end, I would love to ask you guys one more question about your personal content you're doing. Tim, I mentioned your photo style. That's a very dedicated style before, and it's always like I put up Instagram, and there's a lot of beautiful women, a lot of beautiful men, with not that many clothes, but very aesthetic and in crazy settings. Can you talk us a little bit through your visual identity, and maybe also showcase that one content piece you did with the floating bed in the lake? That was crazy. My totally favorite.
Okay, let me go a step back. I think one challenge I face almost daily is that social media, we're all surrounded by it, but it doesn't necessarily reward good content. Whatever works on social media is social media content. And for instance, one example, a brand, they gave me 60,000 USD and they flew me to South Africa and said, shoot our swim collection. I did that. Everyone's super happy. And of course, it's not just social content. They use a bunch of stills and videos for ads and for newsletters and all of this. But the main reel we posted, I think it reaches like 5,000-6,000 views organically. Then the other day, I'm with my ex-girlfriend, and she's like, hey, I want to try this thing. I've seen it on Instagram. I pretty much pick her up, I put her on a basketball hoop, and I throw the ball in, and I act like, wow, she just dunked on me. That thing got like 8 million views in a week. It cost us no money. It took us 8 minutes. And how do you compete with this, And for instance, this airbed shoot, I went hiking, same ex-girlfriend, I see this beautiful lake. I say, oh, imagine you're floating on a bed there. 2 weeks later, we came back. I bought a whole bed on Amazon, bought all the bed sheets. The poor girls had to, because there was a cliff, they had to paddle around. We had walkie-talkies. They were hiding the paddles under the blanket. And I had a big zoom lens, and I was shooting a beautiful photo from the top of the mountain. it gets recognition. People like it, but you can create something with your iPhone in a minute that gains more traction on social media. So I feel like it's always very difficult and also sometimes to some extent not encouraging to compete with this, because I know if I just take off my shirt and I do a funny dance or do some funky German accent, people love that. That's what they want to see. They want everyone to be a comedian, or be very sexy or something. They don't necessarily want to see good quality work, So I know amazing photographers, amazing directors, they don't care about their social. They have 400 followers, but I'm competing against photographers that have 200,000 followers, and then brands book them because they think they're so good. Look at all the followers, but the work doesn't speak for themselves, So I think that's a unique challenge because we use social media as a measurement. How many likes, how many views, how many followers, And I think that's also a personal challenge because I don't want to be this comedian. I like it sometimes, but I want to do quality work, and that's not getting rewarded by social media.
Nice. Thanks for sharing that. Kate, how do you curate your content? I think it's also very, very aesthetic. Looks like I said good life, and I meant that way. It's like, I would swap my life with that guy. How do you do that?
Well, that's kind of the goal. I mean, I'm not practicing as everything I'm preaching, and I'll be the first to tell you is I'm a bad influencer, and not that I'm retired. My bio used to be ex-influencer for a long time, to put some context to it. But now, I try to trend a little more aspirational. I kind of want to be James Bond on Instagram, like he's always doing cool stuff or whatever. So I'm definitely lacking in the transparency. There's no videos of me crying on my Instagram or anything like that.
It's because your life is so good.
I never cry. I've never cried before.
Just because of happiness, right?
Yeah, only happy tears. I definitely, my wife's page is where you'll find more content of me being like dumb and funny. She's a really good influencer. I'm really
shout out Mackenzie.
Shout out Mackenzie. You guys should follow her. She's a real influencer, I think, in the way that all the things that I talked about. So for me personally right now, I want to be a little elusive, a little like cool, traveling here, there, posting aesthetic photos there. It's a mix of my photography, mix of like, lower production stuff, iPhone stuff, and then some touches of videography or reels when I think that things are aesthetic or cool. But yeah, I'm a bad influencer. I practice all my influencer stuff on all the clients I work with, and I say that I need to hire my company for myself to do this stuff because I'm bad at practicing what I preach. So yeah, I think like right now is cool guy, aspirational, traveling. I like cars. There's a lot of cars on my page. There's just in Austin for F1. Took my camera, did some cool photos of some F1 cars. So just, it's pretty sporadic right now.
Yeah, but I mean that's how we met back then with BMW at Coachella. That was a blast.
Yeah, BMW is a great friends. That was a great deal. Yeah.
Nice. Listen, how do you curate your content? I see a lot of dancing, but
dancing?
No, you DJing, but dancing. Meanwhile,
dancing, yeah.
No, that's playing huge festival stages, all that.
So it's a very interesting topic in the music industry because all the if you're like a musician, not just Instagram influencer, you're always trying to find a balance between the music and content creation or creating. And sometimes you can be a really good producer with 5,000 followers on Instagram, but really good music stuff, and you're really respected in the music industry. And at the other hand, it could be influencer with 1 million views who barely can play, but because of very cool hyped reels, sometimes promoter they can choose him than the other musicians. So sometimes I really talk to the people who are really into the music and I don't I hate the social media, is not true, blah blah. I'm you just have to accept that this is a part of this game right now. And yeah, the main goal for me for most of the artists it's to deliver like your art, to deliver your music, but you don't have to like close your eyes and say no, I don't want to use it. No, you just like have to find the right way, the way that you like, how you can use this tool for what you're doing. If you like you doing candles or you like making these drinks, but just create how you can bring more people to your page, to your stage, and show people that you have like this picture or you have this music and stuff. And for me personally, I'm always trying to see what the other artists are posting and see what, not like what is hyped, but what is triggering me, what's interesting for me as a person. I'm like, oh wow, this DJ did like, he created this cool like reel, and I put on my mind or save on my Instagram, and after that maybe I can recreate or be inspired by something, and after that when I have a footage from my like gig or something, I can create something, I don't know, through my experience, how right to say.
Yeah, that's good.
But it's important. It's important to have a good content because, I mean, as I said, it's a part of the game right now. And at the end of everything, sometimes promoters, they need to sell the tickets for your show. And people follow you not just because of the music, just also because of the person. And they can be like, not like attract to you, you know. Yeah. I mean, like, I can take like a Peggy Goo, like most of the famous woman DJ right now, and she's a good producer, but also she like very stylish, she's beautiful, she is doing a lot of stuff behind that, and she can show it to the people, and why not?
Great. I would love to add one more thing here before we close down. We talked a lot about relevance, and I think relevance can be defined by everyone different. It can be by likes, by reach and all that. That's like a good and easy measurement and KPI. And that's a thing we all thrive on and we're always attracted by. But what I realized tonight when we're talking about that, like every one of us is very passionate of what we do. Whether if it's hiking up a cliff and floating a bed in a lake, or being authentic and actually being true to yourself, or thriving in your DJ career. So what I would love to do more, and what I want to do more right now, and you heard it first here, is I want to do more of the stuff that I actually love, that I actually like. And there was a lot of photography in the beginning. I did so many analog photos throughout this year. I haven't posted that much of these, but that's what I really love. Creating moments that matter to me, and if they matter to somebody else, that's nice, but they don't necessarily have to. The most important thing is that I love it, and then I continue doing it, then I am invested in, then I'm passionate about it, and in the end, it will be successful. So thank you all for being up here tonight. Really loved every minute out here. Guys, please stay around. Let's grab some drinks. All the drinks are for free. Sponsored by Paulaner Sunset and the amazing team, Tony and Ian. And let's listen to some great music from DJ Katja Kate.
Benji, can I say one more thing?
One more thing, yeah.
Quick one. So earlier you asked us if we could put all our money in one platform, right?
Uh-huh.
And I thought about it a little bit. I think I would actually put the phone and all the platforms down and invest in like real people connections. Because I think if you have just a group of people that's here right now, if you have, 50, 60 people that are passionate about you, about what you're doing, in the end, that will go a way longer way. Because these platforms, they come and go 1 year, 10 years, whatever. But genuine human interactions and connections, they stay sometimes alive. So that's like my closing statement.
Can I piggyback one more? I know we're closing.
Nice.
We're going to go for only one more hour, I promise. That's a really good thing to say, like you're building your core audience on social. So if you have, 20, 30 people in a room that care about you, Think about the power of 1,000 people. Can you make 1,000 people care about you online? If they spend $100 on you over the course of a year, you've just made $100,000. And people don't think 1,000 followers is a lot of followers. So sharing authentic, real, powerful content, people tuning into who you actually are, caring actually about you by showing your real self, you can make people really care about you. And you don't need a lot of people to care about you to have a really big impact or financial upside on your life.
Amazing. Leisan, you have the honor to close this down with your last answer or the last sentence out here.
You choose a person who speaks worst, okay, to close it. As we said, like, we have to stay authentic to the content. And I mean, this is the secret. And I also wanted to answer for your question. So I'm from Russia and I mean, you're from Germany, but not from America. And sometimes I really see that the quality of the content or quality of the websites or something in America is pretty low. It's from my opinion. And some of the service in America, it's true. I mean, compare with like Moscow or some like European company. And your like plus, or how right to say, like good things that you are not from here and you already have a different vision and you have to use it, that you have a different experience and you have different language and stuff. So this is already your like plus advantage. Thank you. And yeah, because I don't have any like big companies, I cannot give like normal advice. So I'm just giving my own advice that just use this type of privilege. Yeah. But can you close it?
Sure.
Please, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in to the New Trend Society podcast out here with Paulaner Sunset in Venice, Los Angeles, California. Very, very happy. And let's have a great night. Thank you everybody for being here. Please put them up for DJ Kade. Woo!